introduce you, John, before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Welcome back, John Wilson.
Okay.
Welcome back, John Wilson, to the Echo Chamber. We haven't spoken with John for a while. He's been surviving floods and all sorts of things. So we last time we spoke with you, John, was during the all that shit fuckery that happened in Melbourne with the CFMEU trade union stuff. It seems like years ago, but it was only last year. So welcome back to the Echo Chamber. Now, we're going to start this because I've been, the last couple of weeks on the Echo Chamber, I've been talking about and getting myself into trouble about the Jewish thing. And let us make it all very clear from the start, none of us are anti-Semitic. We love everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, what color you are, what religion you are, it doesn't matter. We don't care. We're looking for the truth. We're not truthers. We're truth seekers. We don't know it all. John doesn't know it all. He knows a hell of a lot more than we do. That's why he's here, because we want to talk about this. So let's expand on that Jewish thing, John. Who are the Khazarian Mafia? What the hell's going on? And where are we?
Look, it's a big topic. It really is, right? And I can only sort of speak about this topic, right, from a real outsider point of view. You got me. You know, I'm not interested in biblical teachings and all this stuff. I mean, I've never read the Bible. I'm an old communist. You got me. An old communist. We're not into this stuff, right? So I'm an outsider. Okay. All right. But from how I understand it, right, historically, right, you've had a very bad criminal syndicate, right, in Khazaria, in Ukraine, around that area, right, and they were very evil and dangerous, like a cult, right, and they would murder people and their identities, right? Now, they had a big problem with Russia. They told to clean up their act and all sorts of other stuff. But basically, they assumed the mantle or got themselves absorbed into Judaism, into the Jewish faith of some description. That's what happened way back then. Well, these same sort of people, right, the same bloodlines mob, right, are still around today, and they have, funded and they have worked with, collaborated with other, other dangerous criminal entities, right, around the world to such an extent, and they've really played the long game, where they now own, too much influence, way too much influence all around the world, including here in Australia. So these Khazarian Jews, mate, are a dangerous mob. They bolt on to others like Zionists, right? They're sort of part of that club as well. Okay, secret handshakes, secret oaths, and the blood oaths. But in like really, they are a death cult. They're a blood cult, but a death cult. They are global in reach. They're one of their biggest headquarters, their crime bunker of the world, is in Israel. Okay, that is a crime bunker over there, and Israel protects its influence and power all around the world. So this criminal conspiracy, this criminal network, syndicate, right, that has seized control of all of our institutions, right? Okay. Now the Freemasons are bolted on that as well. They're part of this syndication, part of this this web of criminals, right? But they've seized control of all of our institutions, and so badly or so tightly have they got it under control, right? That we're in real trouble. We're in real trouble. We can't vote our way out of the this tyranny that we're under. We can't vote our way out. Voter fraud is now well known, well known. I mean, look at Brazil, look at the American elections, 2 American elections, voter fraud everywhere. Look at the last Queensland elections, you know, voter fraud. So, you know what I mean? We can't vote our way out of this. You can't go to any court of any jurisdiction and expect any one of these compromised Freemason judges to give you any justice. You just can't. It's impossible. And it's a national scandal that you've had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars raised from ordinary mums and dads by these celebrity freedom movement, you know, identities, only to feed that into the legal system, you know, with the Australian Bar Association, with all these bloody lawyers. You got me? You know, that's a scandal. That's a scandal. Look, the only way out of this predicament, and I've been consistent on this, right, is we've got to change. We've got to wrong foot the entire legal basis on which the Freemason institutions rely upon. All of this contract law, all of this Vatican, you know, maritime law, all of this administrative law, we've got to wrong foot a lot of them. And the way to do that is to bring in martial law, military law, with global military protocols, right? And start arresting these people and taking them out of our system of government, right? You know, we've been hijacked, infiltrated and hijacked, every one of our institutions. And we're in a profoundly dangerous situation, because when it comes to law enforcement in Australia, most of our police out there, all proven, this is all proven, you know, they've run surveys and compulsory, you know, urine tests and this on the police, etc. So they've done this a few years ago. But most of them, like 60 to 65%, are all drug fucked. They're all taking crystal meth. They're all taking speed. They're all taking you know, marijuana. They're all taking you know, other drugs. So we have a violent, unaccountable, drug-induced police force all around Australia, including the AFB, trying to enforce, right, laws upon us, which are just fucking ludicrous. They are ludicrous. We're in real trouble, and as I say, we need a you know, people with the ability to enforce law and order. That's the military, right? And secondly, we need some laws in which to enforce, and that's martial law. That's the military law, and I think that is our only salvation in this situation. We can't vote them out. You can't take them to court and get justice. You can't ask the cop to go and investigate and arrest them. You are wasting your time.
Yeah, I believe up in Darwin today, David Cole is going back into the court just to show that how the court, he doesn't expect to get any justice in the court system, just to bring more exposure to it. And so good luck to you, David Cole. Just back to this Khazarian thing for a minute, because this is kind of the blanket thing that, because like I personally want to know who's the one controlling all the puppet strings. So this Khazarian thing, this came out of, like you said, out of the Ukrainian era. I don't know what century it was in, whether it was the 8th century. I don't know if it was pre-Christ or after Christ. I don't even know, but it was a long time ago. And they were basically these satanic crew, and they were trying to get into Russia, I believe. And I don't know, but they had to take over the mantle of the Jewish. So it's like they've corrupted the Jewish religion. The Jewish people don't even know about it. We've all been mind fucked and mind controlled to believe that this, you know, they sort of went off to Europe, became the Rothschilds, set up the banking system, all of this, which is what this is Australia set up under this corrupt system from the beginning. This is why we cannot get to justice in the Justice Department. The British Bar Association, which is what Australia's under, and America too, it all goes to Britain, it all goes to the City of London. It's a mess, John. And I think Australia's like an experiment and we're all brainwashed. And we were just talking on the phone before, and, you know, once this sort of starts coming out, how it's going to affect the Australian people who have got no idea that they're even living in a corrupt system, let alone, and like if we see military on the streets, do you think we'll see military on the streets, John? Because if we do have to find solution through martial law, which is the military, how's that going to look on the streets of Australia, and how are Australians going to react to that?
Look, I'm not a military person, right? Okay, and therefore you take everything I say here with a grain of salt. But look, law and order is a military responsibility. They will take care of that. That will be one of their responsibilities, law and order. And there'll be many other things that they will take control of, right? Once you bring military / martial law in, right, you know, the codes and everything they work by, it subordinates all other laws. So all other courts and civilian laws, they're all subordinated. The military take primacy, right, when you get to that stage. As long as it's all been done properly, right, that's the way it works, right? Now, there is a war posture right now going on. You can see silly Labor Party Anthony Albanese giving money and arms and everything to Ukraine and you know, Russia and Ukraine, China and Taiwan and America, all this geopolitical stuff. So you can already see a war posture, right? That's already in existence, and that will heighten further and give more justification, more reason, right, for the higher mobilization of the military, and more reason to justify when finally military intervention is brought to the surface in this country, right? i.e. we go under, you know, full, you know, martial law. You know, so I believe that's coming, because I just don't believe there's any other way out of this, right? I don't believe it. The Khazarian Mafia, look, there are others who are much more gifted, much more knowledgeable historically, and have all sorts of insights into who this mob is and how they've gone about their business than I. Much better, right? The thing is this. We're going to come to a point soon where these Khazarian Mafia upper echelons, right, are going to try to appease us, right? If we're not smart about this, they're going to try and appease us by throwing us some offerings, right? They will murder their own people and throw them at us, right, to get us off their backs. You understand? These people are psychopaths, right? Psychopaths. And they're running a large section of the planet. Now, you know, we don't want that. We want to clean the lot of them up. The Jewish people, to all those Christian Jewish people out there, my advice is simply this, right? You in Israel and around the world, like Australia, like here in Australia, right, are going to have one opportunity to clean up the garbage and to take this fucking garbage out, this evil garbage out, and dispose of it somehow, burn it or throw it in the garbage tin and bury it or whatever, right? Now, if you don't do this, if you don't take the opportunity to clean up your garbage, right, your garbage inside your ranks, and to take this garbage out and get rid of it, then you'll be like us. If we don't do it, right, we will all be judged by God. And that judgment's going to be very fucking heavy, baby. Very fucking heavy on anyone that provides shelter and safety to these monsters and what they've done to children. That judgment's going to be very heavy. I wouldn't fucking miss this opportunity if I was you. If I was Jewish, I would not miss this opportunity to clean these motherfucking infiltrating Khazarian Mafia criminal syndicates out of your ranks and fucking execute the lot of them. Now, we have to do the same over here in Australia, because there's a lot of Australians who've done a lot of very illegal, evil things, right? And, we've got some Zionists and, other, grubs over here. So we've got to do the same. And if we don't do it here in Australia, by Jesus, mate, we're going to be harshly judged and we will be dealt with. So that's my advice. That's my advice. I'm not making the rules up to this war, ladies. I'm not. I'm just doing what I'm told. I've been told officially by my Christian friends, and remember, I'm an old communist, mate. They've told me we are in a spiritual war. I'm not going to argue with them. I think they're right. They've told me there's been horrible and heinous crimes committed against children. I'm not going to argue with them. I've seen just enough evidence where it's shaken me to my core. I don't want to see any more. I don't need to be convinced. I know it exists. They've told me that God's going to win this war, and I've sort of seen enough evidence where God is intervening. He is on our side. He's not going to let us down. So hang loose, all you recluses out there. We're on the winning team. We've suffered big casualties though. That's the sad part. We've lost lots of friends, lots of family. People have died, and people have been estranged, and all sorts. I mean, I've had big arguments with my wife and daughter, over in this war. You know what I mean? So I get it. I do get it. We've suffered, but the prize for winning the war is going to be the total destruction of Big Pharma, the total wipeout of Big Pharma, the total wipeout of all these royal colleges of surgeons and doctors and psychiatry. They're going to get fucking wiped out, mate. Corporate media is going to go down on its knees. We've already broken their back and bled them out. Now this is where the kill shot comes in over all this vax shit. All these criminal doctor networks, all of this infrastructure, mate, they've used to fucking poison us for decades and decades. All going to go down. I mean, we've suffered a lot of, we've paid a big price, and I acknowledge that. And how people have maintained their strength in all of that, again, I salute you. I just salute you. So, they have attacked all of us, physically, spiritually, psychologically. They tried to bully up on us, you name it. But the majority of Australians have held their ground. So congratulations on that, Australia. Our movement, our thingo is just growing every day, which is why I like doing these talks, right? Our movement and the awareness is growing every day, in spite of some of these gatekeepers and others inside of the freedom movement. And I've been critical of the freedom movement, particularly the street protest mob, right? Lots of gatekeepers who won't talk about the stuff that we're talking about, right? It's a space where I would like to engage in conversations. I mean, I would urge you to, ladies, to invite any Jewish people, or ordinary, not representatives of anything, but just ordinary, working class people, and talk to them and get them on your program, and because we got to start being honest with each other. If they want our help, if they want us to play a supportive role to help them clean out these Khazarian Mafia crime syndicate, these baby raping, fucking organ trafficking shit, this is going to be horrific when all this information gets out there, man. It's going to shock people to the core. I mean, I cried for like 3 days when I saw footage of a young child having her organs forcibly having her organs harvested. I'm an old, I'm a pretty tough dude, but that stuff just absolutely shocked me to my core.
Yeah, and
all this stuff that
just to be clear, this isn't all the Jews. We're not attacking Jews here. Look at the Catholic Church, look at the Vatican, look at the Jesuit order. Look at all the different religions around the world have participated in this child satanic sex ritual stuff. This is not about the Jewish people. This is about the New World Order, the globalist monsters that are the Satanists that are behind this. So, and it's infiltrated all religions, all people. All, I mean, Trump came in to power, and the first executive order he signed was to end child sex trafficking. Okay, so he's sort of led the way on this. He was the first one to bring it out into the public view. He's also, as we know, in 2020 when he lost the election, they went straight, thanks to Derek Johnson and his incredible information. Trump is still the commander-in-chief. He's the commander-in-chief of the military. This is where the US military will be coming into its forum, because you talk to this, John, if you would, Australia being under the US Constitution, the military. Talk about Australia being under America.
Look, I think a trigger could be, again, I'm not a military person, but I think the trigger was that Australia, via Alexander Downer, right, all set out in George Papadopoulos's book, right, but Australia, using MI5, MI6, Department of Foreign Affairs, and the Five Eyes, and this shit, right? They committed an act of war against the United States and America in trying to take Donald Trump down after he was elected, right, and leading up to his election, right, with Russiagate. Now, I think, Trump, I think at that very time when he got the facts in of our involvement, said this is an act of war. Then we've seen the footage of when Trump went round the world, and we saw him do the sword dance in Saudi Arabia. We saw all the stuff that went down at the Vatican and in Israel, right? They capitulated. He took them by the throat. He showed them the disclosures that were going to be made about them, to the general population. They capitulated. Right. So, for Trump to go on and engineer, as pursuant to Derek Johnson's research, right, to engineer presidential orders, and those presidential orders, when they weren't completed, would then trigger, right, a series of events involving the military, right, I think it's entirely right. I think it's entirely plausible, and many other people, like I've said before, he's been viewed 1 million times, and I haven't seen one person, discredit him. So if you know that Australia is registered as a corporation, Queensland, New South Wales, our police departments, all of that, they're all corporations. If you know that they're corporations and they're registered on the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, if you know that and understand that, right, and then you understand that Trump is the CEO of the Corporation of America, right, okay, and yet, he's written these executive orders and so on, right, then it is entirely safe to assume that the military are involved here in Australia. Entirely safe to assume that. Now, I just point you to this. One, there's a lot of US ships in Australian ports at the moment. Two, there's a big strike, a lockout, not a strike, but a lockout on a towage company, Svitzer, here in Australia, that's going to start this Friday, right? Okay. There's a lot of stuff, going on here. Thirdly, the ABC publicised yesterday that the Australian government put a call out to the New Zealand government to send in some troops to help for floods. You got me? So there's a lot of stuff sort of, intel out in the back there. What's going on? No one knows exactly, but everyone's watching very closely. But I believe it's the military is being mobilised, and it's being mobilised, for this reset that's going to come. Our reset, not the World Economic Forum reset, our reset. They're going to take these mothers out.
Yeah, and like you said, for for Australian people in particular, because we're Australian, but all the people around the world, it's going to be important to have a visual understanding to be shown these monsters at the top being taken away and put through the military tribunals and that sort of thing. We're going to need to see that. The people of Australia are going to need to see that to believe it, because it's all about football and cricket and meat pies and barbecues, and no one, you know, there's very few people that are prepared to look beyond the COVID narrative, really. You know,
look, there's a lot of sick and wounded and injured people out here in Australia, and victims of you know, high level of crime. You know what I mean? And when all these disclosures come out, and we really get hit by, you know, a wall of information, right? That is all provable, right? All provable and beyond doubt. You know, that we're going to have a broken country, right? That's been really ravaged by these forces, and we've got to try and heal the country and bring the people together, right? You know, we can't do that unless those victims of crime, and that's all of Australia, unless us who have been victims of these crimes, who've lost family, lost friends, see justice done. So we need to see these chicken-necked globalists who have, you know, killed, maimed, and murdered our family and friends and so on. We need to see them get their heads cut off. We need to see some executions. We need to see plenty of jail terms and so on, because as a country, we're not going to be able to move on unless we know that justice has been done and they've been fully dealt with. No more of this again, mate. We don't want to leave any traces of these people around to regroup and regather and come back and have another go at our grandchildren.
and this is probably why it's taking so long, right? People say, why is it taking so long? It's taking so long because we don't want any of this residue left so that it can reignite itself. I mean, you know, people say, oh, there's nothing happening. How do you know? Like, I listen to quite a few people, as you do. You know, why has Gitmo been expanded? When Joe Biden came into power, he said, I'm going to close Gitmo down. Well, he hasn't closed Gitmo down. Gitmo's expanded and expanded. And I believe there's more than one around the world that's going to take care of these military tribunals. Are you hearing anything sort of about anyone that's, do you believe that there are already people been arrested? We're looking at body doubles. What's going on there, John?
Oh, look, there's so many moving pieces, right? So many of them, right? Look, what we know, this is stuff that we now know. It's not conjecture, right? We know that cloning, body doubles, silicon masks, CGI technology, you know, Hollywood, they've got Hollywood, right, which are capable of unbelievable spectacle, right? Okay. But all of those things are in play. All of those things are pursuant to, you know, legislative change that Barack Obama had made, right, when his office, where he said that it used to be illegal for any of this shit to be used on the American people, right? He changed the law, became legal. And they've been, see, the CIA run all of the media. They don't just influence, they own it, they run it, right? You know.
That was
so,
the
look,
was that the overturn? Was it the Smith-Munt Act or something like that that he overturned?
Like,
yeah.
I mean, and look, we've been that they've been using, like, again, for 10, 12, whatever years, they've been fully authorised, lawful, right, to hit us with anything they like, okay, to deceive us. And they have Hollywood standard, Hollywood quality resources, right, to do that, to project. So, you know, all of these things are in play. We know that, right? Okay. Don't ask me who's what, whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm like you. I'm sort of trying to put the pieces together like you, but they're all in play. You know, the thing that I would say is this about how long and, you know, it's taken. Look, the journey that we're on, the best way that I can explain it in simple man's terms, right, is that we have all of our existing infrastructure, everything that we have in Australia, same as America, same New Zealand, all the same. All of our infrastructure, all of our institutions, right? All of them, bar none that I know. There might be one or two exempt, but not that I know of. They are all Freemason or Vatican or Jesuit, right? Or royal family institutions. And we now know that they are a fraud, right? So once you know this, right, that all of it's a fraud, right? Okay. All right. Now we know that, through some act of God, the military gets involved and says, okay, that's all out, right? We're going to move to this, whatever this is, right? Okay, whatever it may be, whatever the new model is, you know what I mean? But that is a huge transition for 25 million people to make. It's huge. And to get them to make that transition, i.e., turn their back on the old and embrace the new, right? Now, that's what you've got to try and get them to do, to turn their back on the old system, right? The old Freemason system and all of these institutions, and voluntary embrace the new. Okay, so turn your back on public hospitals, tell them to get fucked, right? And embrace the new medical technology and the natural healing and all the ancient Aboriginal remedies and all this stuff, right? So turn your back on Big Pharma and the health system and embrace this. To get them to do that's a hell of a job. It's a big education. You've got to give them reason to do that. You've got to give them incentives to do that, right? And so that's the job at hand. That's what's going on right now, I believe, right? There will come an important point in timing wise where the military will literally have to grab all of these institutions by the scruff of the neck and come out and deal with them somehow, right? But in a period that we're like everything is rotten to the core. We can't vote them out. They're rotten. They're corrupt. Our voting system, everything. Our courts are rotten. Our politics is rotten. All of our commercial shit. We're all on contract law. We're all on maritime law. We're all on admin. All this fucking bullshit. I don't want to fix any of it. I want to get rid of the lot. I want to get rid, and anyone that's hanging off it, they go as well. That's what I want to see. I want to see Australia rebuilt, the nation of Australia and our communities rebuilt as a free people. I don't care which direction the people necessarily want to take it, right? As long as it's as a free people.
And
right?
that's the thing, John, because we were set up as a slave colony. I don't think Australians really know who they are, who we are. We've been told to be this, we've been told to be that, we've been funneled this way. I think this is great for Australia, this breakdown of this system, because it gets, for me, it forces Australians to say, who are we as Australians and where do we want to go with this? What do we want to create as Australians? Linked in with the original peoples of this land, linked in with the ancient whatever cultures, the new cultures that we get to choose. I think that's a beautiful thing, John. What's it going to...
Look, I can have disagreements with a lot of other of my countrymen and women. I can, heaps of them. But I can certainly say with all honesty that 99% of them all want the best thing, right? That we may disagree, but we all want the best thing for the country, right? We all want the country to do well, we all agree that people should be safe. We all agree that, we shouldn't have poverty and things like that. You know what I mean? So we have a great future. Our best days, our best years are yet to come. But we've got to get rid of these parasites, mate, who have infiltrated every institution we got. And when it comes to trying to fix it, we can't. We can't fix these institutions. They've got to go. They've got to go, man. They're all fabrications. They're all fake. You know, they have no jurisdiction. They all have to go. Now, I'm not making the rules up here. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm not, I've been told it's a spiritual war. I've been told sovereignty and all these things. And I'm saying, yeah, okay, right. Oh, I get all that, right. But I'm trying to be practical. I can't live in a country, mate, after knowing how evil these institutions are and what their purpose is. Their purpose is they're a controlled system. That's it. That's it. That's the Bar Association, the courts, the cops, the bloody, the taxation department, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, all of these frauds are just control systems levered against us, So they all got to go. So this reset that's coming, right, I think, yeah.
Bella's got a question from you talking about systems. This is one that you know a lot about. So the union thing.
The union one. Yeah, I had a question, which was, so there's a lot of cases at the moment with people who were dismissed over the vaccine mandate, and now it's come out that the vaccine didn't actually stop transmission, and they never even tested for it and all of that. So, they're going to court for unfair dismissal cases, and they're all just being squashed. They're all just being shut down and thrown out. These people aren't being given any voice, even though it's clear that it was an unfair dismissal case because there was no grounds for dismissal.
So where are the unions in this, John?
Yeah, indeed. Look, all of those are very unfortunate people have been thrown to the dogs, right, and left to fend for themselves. You can all get a bit of an idea about what's going on in regard to this if you listen to the how would you say, the Malcolm Roberts from One Nation, who done a reasonable job questioning Fair Work Australia in his Senate hearings only this week. On this subject, people getting sacked and so on, right? So if you want to get a more intimate let me just say this: there have been some victories recently, a couple of them, where the courts have gone in favour of the person. Certainly not to the degree, right, to open any floodgates or anything like that, but there have been a couple of victories, okay? The Fair Work Australia, look at the questioning under Malcolm, no, it wasn't Malcolm Roberts,
Senator Ruddock.
It might have been
Senator Ruddock, yeah.
Yeah, very sorry, mate. Senator Rennick. But listen to how they responded, mate, when Rennick said, look, your role, aren't you here to protect the employee? Not once did the president of the commission ever say, no, yes, they're not here. They're not here to protect the employee. You see, that's a real big change from my years in dealing with the Industrial Relations Committee. Big change. They were always first and foremost there to protect the worker, right? That was in their charter, right? They were from exploitation, right? And that's where the 8-hour day come in and all the rest of it, right? Okay, that's the trading industry piece. The workers said, if we are not going to be exploited, we can come to the court and if we can get some justice, right, then we won't go out striking and all the rest of it. So that was the agreement, right, that there'd be no exploitation. And now the commission, the courts are just saying, no, well, that's not our job anymore. Our job is not. And so they've abandoned the working people. The working people now have to have no other option but to go to the Industrial Relations Commissions to get that. And if they're not going to get any remedy there, there's no one. Basically, there's no. They can't afford to go anywhere else. You know what I mean? Because they're then going into the legal system, which is rigged. The unions are the only force that can change that, because the unions have just got tons of money, tons of lawyers, and what they do is they shut that employer down and say, well, if our member is going to bleed, then so are you. You can both bleed together. Let's see who loses the most money. And it's the employer that loses the most, you see. So the employer caves, not on legal precedent, but on muscle. And they've walked away from this whole space. They've left it empty, and they have abandoned anyone that trusts an Australian trade union after this, mate, is just a fool. Yeah.
I remember after that, when we first met, the CFMEU stuff, and there was a bit of a move to create new unions for the people, because obviously the old trade unions were letting people down, the nurses union, the CFMEU, all that. They just walked away with all these vax mandates. They said, we can't stop it. We won't stop it. You're on your own. Did anything come out of that, John? Were there any other sort of organisations set up to replace these old unions or not?
Yeah, there was a move made. I think the Red Union and others, I think, tried to do something. I think they may even still be around. But you know, they all lack any hard edge, any sharp edge, right? They lack that. They need some old war horses in amongst their ranks to, you know, give them some backbone and some direction, because they haven't got it. They just have not got it. You know, they are competing against some real, you know, bad players here, bad actors, and they've got to be tough and smart to be able to beat them and to seize their territory. It's all there to be taken, but I'm afraid I just don't see that they're up to it. I don't want to bag them. I don't want to be too negative. I mean, I'm hoping that they get their shit together, but like so many other areas of the freedom movement, you've got pissants in there, you know, lightweights, people who don't know what they're doing, trying to lead things and build things, and it's not happening. And I don't want to be nasty. I'm an old communist, mate. I'm a very abrasive person, you know. I don't tolerate fools easily. When I see a lot of bullshit going on, you know, I scratch my head and say, well, what the hell's going on here? You know, I mean, we've got such a fertile ground, so much fertile ground that we can claim. We can get out and contest it and take it off. You know, all of those unions and you know, and many others. You know, these you know, that are controlling the political now. We can take it off them, right? But we've got a freedom movement that's fragmented, and that fragmentation, that lack of thought, and I don't mean joining forces. I just mean having a common sense of purpose. You know, I don't mean joining together and all being the one group. That's no. I'm having a common purpose that we're all working towards. You know, again, you've got these gatekeepers and others in there all claiming that this war is about forced vaccinations, and forced vaccinations is a symptom. There's a lot more they want to do to us, bar forced vaccinations. You know, a lot more.
John, what do you think they want? What do you think they want to do to us through the transgender movement? I know you want to get a bit of fire out of you.
That's an ugly one, mate. Like I'm a conservative married man, mate. I've been married over 30 years, and that, you know, when all this tranny, you know, dick swinging stuff is a direct attack on our women, and it's an indoctrination for our children, and they're trying to turn it also into an inducement somehow for men. And you know, they flaunt it in front of men, you know, hoping that somehow the man would find it attractive. I mean, this is all ugly shit, mate. This is chicks with dicks, and you know, and men with no balls. You know, this is ugly shit. Now, it's a cancer. It's a real cancer, and they've been putting a lot of time and a lot of resources into promoting it. A lot of the medical people are in there, you know, hacking away at young teenage people's bodies and cutting them up. I mean, fucking ugly, ugly, ugly. Big Pharma have hooked these transgender people up onto massive drug regimens, massive. So they're now a prisoner of Big Pharma as well. And God forbid, we've got our young teenage daughters now. I've got a young, 21-year-old daughter who's trying to get a figure and trying to look beautiful and compares up to a man. And she wonders why she's never going to get there. And I'm saying to her, listen, you're never going to look as good as that because it's a bloke. It's a fucking bloke. Your body's never going to look like that bloke, right? Ever. You've got bone structure different. And, but they're throwing it in our faces. And anyone who's a little bit wised up to this, where you're a little bit skilled and you don't and I've hung out with some coroners and I've read some coroners reports and stuff like that. They can do a lot with the body, but what they can't fuck around with is the skeleton, right? The skeleton is the skeleton. That's the chassis of the body. And they can't fuck around with that, mate, too much. And once you start recognizing these things, everywhere in public life, you've got these fucking trannies in your face, and they're everywhere. And now they've got them in sports but the media is full of them, mate. The media is full of them. Hollywood's full of them. The entertainment industry is full of them. You name it. The porn industry, you name it. Everywhere you go, this is a huge war going on against our women. And it's an indoctrination, like I said, against our children, trying to hold these freaks up as some role models. And we somewhere along the line, like I'll be upfront now, I'll say this publicly, right? To all Australians, all Victorians, all of my Victorian friends that are out there, tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm just being crazy here, right? Okay. But your with his wife in public, etc. Right?
Say that again.
Say that again. We lost you.
Say that again. You glitched out for a second.
Your Premier, Daniel Andrews, okay, down there, he's up for election next weekend, right? But he's walking around in public, right? In public, right, with his married to his wife, okay? I will make the allegation. Every photograph, every bit of footage I can see, I'm telling you, it is a man. It's a tranny. It is a tranny. That is not a woman, right? That is not a fucking woman. Why is the Premier, and put this out to all the Victorians, mate, why is the Premier of your state parading a tranny around, okay, and saying publicly that's his wife, okay? Sue me, do whatever you like, okay? If you want to go down that track, you do it, right? But be prepared, mate. Be prepared if you want to go down that track. I'll fucking ask some really ugly questions. But it's making me sick. They're throwing it in our faces. They worship some cross-dressing fucking goat, these people. Wow. Anyway.
Yeah. And as we know, this is all connected to their Baal worship, the half man, half goat, half with the boobs and everything. This is not a naturally occurring thing. So, and it's a bit like the Obama thing with Michelle, Big Mike. Like, let's face it, there's no secret there, right? People still don't believe it, but there's no bloody secret there. If they said,
I don't know of anyone, and I talk to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. I don't know anyone who does not believe, right? Okay, who does not believe that Obama is a man. They all believe it. They all believe that Obama is a man. But
Michelle.
Yet,
No. Obama's a woman. Really? I hadn't heard that.
No, Michelle.
Oh, no,
Michelle.
Right.
Yeah.
Obama.
I was confused there. No.
Yeah, Michelle Obama.
So they still believe that Michelle's a woman?
No.
Oh,
Look, 5-6 years ago when I first raised that, right, I was laughed at, right? 5-6 years later now, not one of these same people believe that Michelle Obama is a woman. None of them. They all say she is a man.
Yep.
Trannies can't hold it together. The older they get, they can't hold it together, mate. You got me. And the older she's got, right, it's become so obvious. It's a dick swinger. And I'm sick of it, mate. I'm, if I got to be laughed at in public, I mean, so be it. But Dan Andrews has got a dick swinger as well, mate. It's a tranny.
There are some horses in New Zealand that haven't been gelded yet either, John. So,
Hey, we got to finish up this video. Sorry, guys. Sorry, John. I got to finish up. I got another appointment, but any last words? I
want you to do me a favor, John, and wish young Laurie, who's a big fan of yours, he's a friend of my daughter's. He's turning 27, I think, today. He wants John Wilson to wish him a happy birthday, please. So happy birthday, Laurie.
Oh, my honour. Happy birthday, Laurie. Have a great day. Spend it with family, friends, and it's a great time to be alive, man. I was back in my 20s. I'd be in jail by now if I was back in my 20s.
And
I'm lucky to be out now.
I just want to say that I'm going to try and say this inconspicuously because we have the auto captions under this, and I'm pretty sure the auto captions is what gets us. So I'm fairly certain that this video is going to end up in heaven. So you'll be able to catch us on Rumble. Okay, if this Facebook video ends up in heaven, you will catch us on Rumble. Share this video as much as you can. If it ends up in heaven, this video will be on Rumble, everyone.
My personal FB page is up in heaven too as of yesterday. I'm gone again, so don't expect to hear from me.
She's in jail. She's in heaven jail.
John left this bad scene a while ago. John,
I've been smashed like.
Where can people find you, John? You're on Telegram under.
Yeah, look, John Wilson is on Telegram. Pirate John 1960, I think, is my handle. Pirate John 1960, and I've got a channel there. I've got 3,500 subscribers on that channel, and we share our research. I'm back on Gab doing a little bit of posting on Gab, not a lot. My main outlet is Telegram. And from time to time I do interviews. I only really accept interviews off you guys. And Ricardo Bosey's another one, and not many others. I don't sort of accept interviews too widely,
Well, we're honored to have you.
I only say things publicly when I've got something to say.
Yeah. Well, we're honored to have you, John. It's a pleasure being a friend of yours, and I really feel that with my heart. We both do. And we'll let Bella go because she's got work to do. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you so much. Yeah, and thank God you were taken care of in the Brisbane flood and your boat was saved. Thank God for that.
Amen to that. Amen. I owe the big man upstairs a big favour.
You do. And anyway, thank you, John. And we'll see you again another time, yeah?
Bye, everyone.
Okay. We'll have another interview soon. Take care. Ciao for now.
See ya.